I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my favorite makeup palettes. Now these are all eyeshadow palettes, so I should probably specify that more. I don't own a lot of like multi-functional makeup palettes, you know, things with like lip products and cheek products. I'm just not really into that. I really like eyeshadow palettes. Eyeshadow palettes are probably what I buy the most of. Eyeshadow palettes and foundations and lip products are like the things I tend to hoard like no other. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys my all-time favorites. All of these are available right now. None of these are limited edition, I don't think, so you can pick up these whenever. And I know that I did the perfect palette take a while ago. If you want to go watch that, you can. That kind of explains more about my specific favorites for different categories. However, if you just want to know like my all-time go-to must-have makeup palettes, I'm going to be showing that to you guys right now. And if any of you ask where this bracelet is from, I actually made it, so in case I get comments on it. Alright, let's move on to the palette. So the first one that I want to talk about is probably my favorite one of all time. I love this palette. When I say favorite one of all time, it's just because it's so unique. There's really nothing else like it, and I don't know, it just has a really special place in my heart. This is the Decay Electric palette. That sounded so cheesy, but I love this palette so freaking much. Now obviously this palette isn't going to be for absolutely everybody. It's, you know, Decay's really, really bold, super bright, really intense palette. I really hope they come out with a second one of these. Maybe one that's a little bit warmer. This is overall, I would say, a pretty cool tone palette. You have a lot of greens and blues to work with. They did throw in a few warm colors. You know, you have like Slow Burn, which is a really, really warm orange. However, I find that the majority of looks I get out of this can tend to be pretty like cool toned on the color side of things. But I love this. The colors are pigmented, they're really smooth, creamy. Some of them are more difficult to blend than others just because they are so bright and so intense. For example, Savage can be a bit of a tricky one, and so can Gonzo, but overall the colors are just so vibrant and so pretty that it's just hard not to love this palette. If you're into colors, obviously you need this. If you're not into colors, even if you wear color maybe like once a month, I still would very, very much so recommend picking this up. The reason being, this is a palette that you can buy and then never have to purchase another color again, because you basically have everything in here. So if you're ever watching YouTube tutorials and you're like, oh, I really wish I had a bright matte pink eyeshadow to do that really pretty look with, you have that in here. Or if you want sort of a yellowy toned eyeshadow, you have that in here as well. So I love this palette. I think it is actually very versatile. You guys can go check out my makeup Instagram to see the copious amounts of looks I do with this. I really do wear this palette at least once or twice a week. Like at least once, but usually 2 or 3 times because I love it so much. Moving on to neutral palettes. The rest of these palettes are pretty neutral. This one's somewhere in the middle. This is the Kat Von D, what is this called? Ladybird palette. I so knew that. For some reason I was wanting to say Monarch because of her new palette she came out with, but no, this is the Ladybird palette. I think this was released in the fall, or was it released last spring? I think it was released last spring, and I was like, why? Because it's such a fall inspired palette in my mind. This palette is gorgeous. You need this palette in your life. You can do such a multitude of looks. This is one of those palettes that, because all the colors are matte, you really do not need to bring anything else out of your collection. It has beautiful mid-tone blending shades, beautiful outer corner shades, including this really dark navy and then this really pretty purple. And then you have highlight shades like this, and then another kind of cooler toned blending out shade, crease shade, whatever you want to do with it. This palette is so pretty. It also comes with a brown eyeliner, which I have right now stashed in my eyeliner drawer, but I love this. I think it's just so versatile. Again, you can do so many different looks with this, and some of my favorite all-time makeup looks have come out of this palette. It just is such a classy palette. I don't know, it really just makes your makeup look amazing, and it's really, really hard to screw up. So definitely I would recommend the Kat Von D Ladybird palette. It is beautiful and I love it. Lastly, for high-end palettes here, we have the Lorac Pro palettes. I freaking love these. These kick Naked's ass. Like, I'm not even kidding. If you have the Naked palettes and for some reason you do not have the Lorac Pro palette, seriously, donate your Urban Decay Naked palettes and pick these babies up, because these are a million times better. Hands down, I mean, I've started to almost dislike the Naked palettes because of these. First off, the Lorac Pro #1 palette. I'm sure you guys have all seen this. Mine's very, very tattered up. I use this a lot. I hit pan on my favorite color of all time, which is Sable, which is the most beautiful warm tone brown in the history of warm tone browns. Like, I really wish that I could get that as a single because I use this eyeshadow so freaking much, and it really says something when I'm hitting pan on products, because I'm one of those people that for some reason I can never hit pan on products. I think it's a mix of I have a lot and a mix of I do not stick with one product long enough to ever hit pan on it, but this definitely. I love these colors in here so much. I love the really warm, just beautiful colors. Love the Rose Mattes, love the Rose Shimmers. Lorac was just genius when developing this because I think that it was really tailored to their consumers. I also love the packaging. I mean, you talk about a professional looking palette. They're called Lorac Pro and they are the most sleek, most professional. I mean, these look like they came straight out of a makeup artist kit. So I love packing these when I'm doing weddings and stuff because they just look really classy as compared to the Naked palettes. And then the Lorac Pro 2, which is the new one, is full of more cooler tone shades, taken with a grain of salt because there are some warm tone shades in here. But you have these beautiful shades like navy and plum. I love rosé and mocha. I mean, there's just so many gorgeous shades. And, you know, alone you can do a lot of looks with either of these palettes, but together, oh my lord, I'm wearing them together today. I have Pewter from Lorac 1 on the lid. Maybe I should get closer. I have Mauve from Lorac 1 in the crease, and then I have Plum from Lorac 2 in the outer V. So I kind of got this cool, like, plummy, smoky eye out of it, which my lipstick looks horrible right now, so please don't judge me on that. But yeah, I mean, can I say any more about these? They are absolutely incredible. I hands down prefer them over Urban Decay Naked. Just love them. I know sometimes the rubberized packaging kind of bugs people, but like I said, I love it. So anyway, good stuff. Let's move on to some drugstore options. The first one I have here is from Maybelline. Now these are quads just because the drugstore really doesn't put out palettes. Physicians Formula has a couple. Maybelline came out with their new The Nudes palette, which I have no interest in. But this Maybelline palette that I do really like here, this is Maybelline's Chai Latte. This is such a weird quad for me because I used to despise it. I don't know what it was about it, but like it just was not my thing. And what I think I realized is that I really like this palette for like 2 shades, which I know you're probably like, it's your favorite palette and you only like 2 shades, but when you think about it, it's more of a quad. 2 out of 4 isn't so bad, and given the price tag, you know, only really using 2 shadows, I find that that's still very justifiable. It's not like, you know, spending the money on one of these and only using 2 shades. So the 2 shades, speaking of which, that I like the most are the matte browns. They are just gorgeous. You can see here, I mean, I have a lot of matte browns, but for some reason, these are just unique, and I don't know what it is about it. I think it's because this dark outer corner one is really cool toned, cooler than the ones in the Naked, or not the Naked, but the Lorac Pro palette. And there's not really a matte, you know, dark cool tone brown in the Lorac 2, which is weird. They really should put one in there, but anyway, so this is just a beautiful, like I said, really cool tone dark brown. Looks awesome in the crease. Love it. And then you have the lid shade, which is a lot like MAC's Wedge. It's a more kind of, again, cooler tone. I think it has more of a pinky kind of base to it. Mid-tone blending shade or crease shade, whatever you want to use it for. Love this. Now, granted, the sort of coppery shade here and then the sort of more shimmery light ivory shade here too is very pretty. I just don't tend to reach for those colors as much as I do these two, and so for that reason this is one of my favorites because I reach for this baby all the time. So before, when I looked at it as like a whole, it's like eh, but when I look at it as those 2 shades, I give it 2 thumbs up. And very finally, we have this one from Physicians Formula. This is the Canyon Classics Matte Eyeshadow Quad. I love this quad, again, because I just have this thing for matte mid-tone blending shades. I love these 2 matte shades. This for my fingers. There we go. Wait. There. Love these 2 shades. They look very, very similar. Like if I'm to swatch them, there's not a whole lot of difference between these 2. One is definitely lighter, one's a little bit darker, but they're just gorgeous. Again, they work well as mid-tone blending shades. I love, love, love this shade here, this ivory creamy shade for highlighting. For some reason on my skin tone, it is just gorgeous. Like, it really does highlight and accentuate any feature that I put it on top of. It doesn't just like blend away into nothing, which I really like. And then you have this really cool like matte gray gray, which again is very pretty, but I mostly like it for the ivory shade probably the most, and then the two matte kind of blending shades. I just really think that the formulation on these is awesome. They're very silky, very smooth, not powdery. They last a good amount of time. They're just really, really good eyeshadows, and I honestly think that for the price and everything, they are amazing. The only downside is I hate this packaging. It looks so cheap. It looks so tacky, but you know, the product inside is good, and that's all that matters. All right, guys, so that's it. I'm not going to give you a million different options, but these are, if I had to narrow it down to my top favorite makeup palettes, these are what I would pick. I would really recommend any of these to you guys if you don't currently have them. Let me know what your guys' favorite makeup palettes are down in the comments, and I'm interested just to hear what you think I should pick up, or what your thoughts are on these palettes. Please let me know. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.